YouTube, what is going on? In this video, I want to discuss sleep and how it relates to sleep and retention, and share some ideas and share some information that perhaps you might not have thought of when it comes to sleep and sleep and retention. So you may have heard before that it is beneficial to sleep naked, and yes, it is, but I do not recommend sleeping naked for a few reasons. So I'm going to expound on different things in here. So I don't recommend sleeping completely naked, because if you are in semen retention from a spiritual perspective, you are open, you are there. All that's covering you really, maybe or maybe not, is a sheet. I don't really use a sheet where I am right now because it's hot. I just have a fan blowing and that's it. So from a spiritual perspective, you're kind of open. So I do 100% recommend a loincloth. Just think of what our ancestors might have slept with. They might have had just, some kind of cloth covering them, or a robe. Like my dad used to wear a lot of these, like a long robe, kind of like what the Muslims wear. They call it a kanzu here. You just want to allow airflow, but at the same time you want to be protected, because if there was an emergency in your house and you kind of need to get out quickly, you don't want to be naked fumbling around looking for shorts, or if there was an intruder in the house, you're running around naked. Like, it's not an ideal situation, but we have, well, at least I have security bars and things like that, so I'm not really so, like a thief couldn't enter here and break in easily. But that leads me to another point that's related to sleep. You should always have a weapon in your room. You should always have some kind of weapon in your room. I'm actually going to show you what I've got, just so you have an understanding, because like if you're in a place where you're allowed a gun, like for example, in my family house, we keep a shotgun. It should be easily accessible, because if there was a situation where you might have to use it, a couple of times, there was a time I remember I was living with my father and he woke up in the middle of the night, shotgun there, because he heard a noise. Like, you need to be able to exterminate any kind of potential threat. So yeah, let me just show you what I got. Yeah, so I got this machete. This is typically for dicing on my coconuts and things like that, but this is the strongest weapon in the house. And basically the strongest weapon in the house should be in your room, because for the most part, if an intruder actually broke into your house, they have access to the kitchen and they have access to all your knives and things. So your gun, anything else, it needs to be obviously away from the kids and stuff like that, but it needs to be in a secure position, somewhere you could reach fairly easily if you had to in your room. So before I had that, I used to keep a baseball bat. Especially when I was still living in the West, I had a baseball bat, because a baseball bat can be better than a knife in certain circumstances. So a spear, something like that, something sharp, something that can keep them at bay. But obviously the ideal is a gun. But yeah, let me not get too off topic. So yeah, when it comes to sleeping, you definitely want to have some kind of loincloth protecting your genital region. And not just from a spiritual perspective, it protects you, having some kind of covering. It's definitely not recommended to have like tight underwear, obviously not. Even loose underwear. A loincloth, something that really truly allows flow from the bottom and around, is much better. From a physical perspective, it can protect you, because I can't speak for everyone, but at least for me, in the middle of the night, with a significant other, I have been saddled in the past, like basically taken advantage of when I've been asleep. So it protects you from that as well. That can't happen so easily. So I definitely recommend that. Also related to sleeping, so I remember reading in a book. It was probably, I've read over 1,000 books at this point. It was probably a book on attracting a partner and things like that. So right now I'm sleeping, okay, let me get onto it. I'll get onto it after, but right now I'm sleeping in a double bed for the most part. There's room for two, and it said, if you want to attract a partner, sleep on one side and leave the other side open. And for the most part, if you have like a large bed, you probably lean more towards one particular side. So I'm here to tell you that no, that is not the way. Ideally, it's best to sleep on the floor, but let me just talk about the beds right now. If you are sleeping on a bed, you want to sleep in the center. You want to sleep in the center of that bed. So you have 2 pillows or 4 pillows. How many pillows you need, you put it in the center of the bed and sleep, because that's going to be better for your balance. And that's going to be, of course it's going to be better for your balance. You're going to be in a more balanced position, rather than leaning towards the left side, leaning towards the right side. And sleeping on your back is ideal from a physical perspective and from a to protect your spine as well. If you think about it as well, I know I always say the best way to know how to do something is to look at kids. Kids never just sleep in one static position, so it is good to move around during your sleep. left side is better, pillow between the knees, pillow under your legs, that kind of thing. Definitely do some research on that, but you definitely want to be moving around a little bit. Go to your left side, go to your right side. But it's detrimental to just sleep on your stomach like most people do. Most people just sleep on their stomach and stay there all night. It's not good. And I always say from a physical perspective as well, is I like to sleep on my back because if somebody walked into the room, I'm there, I'm ready, I'm up to get up, versus I've got my back covered, they could be making faces at me. From a security standpoint, it's not ideal. It's the same if I get into an elevator or if I get into a building. I kind of always want to have my back towards the wall. So my spiritual mentor taught me that whenever you go to a place, wherever it is, maybe you're at a park and you just want to chill and get some sun, always go to the highest energy position. Always go to the strongest position. You can ask yourself, if the king was here with two of his guards, where would they sit? Where would they stand? So the mistake is thinking the king would sit in the middle where he's open from all areas. That's a mistake. The king will usually sit at the back, maybe with the easy access to an exit. You kind of always want to see the exit. So you want to ask yourself that question. And finally, when it comes to sleep, the ideal is to sleep on the floor because beds are comfortable. Or at least my bed is fucking hard right now. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm even looking for something to start sleeping on the floor again. The ideal is to sleep on the floor. Something like this is too thin. This is way too thin. But maybe something, I'd say double or triple the thick. I do sleep on this during my afternoon nap. I do sleep on this with a pillow, but ideally you want to be sleeping on the floor. There's numerous benefits to sleeping on the floor, and in general, sleeping on the floor is going to be better for your health. It's going to help with your SR practice, because a lot of the time, at least for me, when I was releasing to screens, it would always be in the comfort of my bed with the laptop there, and yeah, you'd end up doing the biz. But obviously when you're sleeping on the floor, it's going to mitigate at least you releasing in the same way. And also, it's going to eliminate shorties. Like if you're in a situation where you have an abundance of shorties, you'd be like, yeah, I don't have a bed, I sleep on the floor. I'm not going to lie, I piped a few joints on the floor. I'm not going to lie to you. But what I'm saying is going to help at least. But yeah, sleeping on the floor is so much better. I remember being told that it's better for the alignment of the chakra system as well. But yeah, it's a much more natural position. Anything I'll answer. And the bed is so comfortable. Like for example, me, when I wake up, I don't want to lie around in bed. I never understood. Well, I did because I lived it once upon a time. But sleep is not so sweet to me. Because I read Proverbs every single day as well, there's so many verses in there about sleep. Again, reading Proverbs is so good. Again, I'm kind of just going off everywhere here. But yeah, I encourage you to do your own research, but I'm just providing the information that I know to be true. I read a book once, it was called The Richest Man Who Ever Lived. And the entire premise of the book was he was told to read something every single day, every single month. And that was the book of Proverbs. The book of Proverbs has 31 chapters. How many days are in a month? It's about 30 days, 31 days. So I read the book of Proverbs, and I've been reading the book of Proverbs every single day for years, basically. And that's one of my secrets to attracting wealth, actually, because it's just constantly preaching good things in there. Stay away from the strange woman. What I just read a verse today. It was like, whoever loves wine and oil shall not be rich. It's giving you gems, gem after gem, gem after gem. And the more I read it, I'm still learning new things, even after years. But yeah, just a quick video on sleep. Do your best to sleep. I would say buy a Thai mattress. That's what I was sleeping on for years. But again, I'm out of where I grew up. I don't have access to certain things anymore. But I'm working on it. A Thai mattress, a tatami mattress. Look at how the Japanese do it. Also sitting down. Obviously, this is my work chair. I hate to sit on this shit. So I do my best to stand up. I have this thing here, and I put it there, and then I stand up. Or a lot of the time, I even just get on my knees and squat. But sitting down, I'll make another video on that. But sleeping, yeah, that's the video.